Hare Krishna. Coronavirus is the trending topic in the present day world, and from medically advanced nation to the poorest among the poor and most intellect to the illiterate, each and every individual knows it, corona. Yet the source is unknown. Some say it's transmitted from bat to human, and some claim it to be developed in the lab as a bioweapon. Whatever it may be the case, it is transmitted to human due to unnatural, unlawful behavior of human beings. That's for sure. Whether it's developed in lab or it's from bat, whatever it may be, it's transmitted to human because of unnatural, unlawful behavior of ourselves, human beings. A virus in itself are not even a complete cell with size of 1/100th size of a bacteria in most cases, and yet entire world population is about like 8 billion. We are about 8 billion, and each one person with 37.2 trillion cells in average is locked down by an insignificant submicroscopic body with no sign of life in itself. Since time antiquity, the epidemics are the cause of mass destruction for human race. We can see they are the biggest challenge for us always, starting from typhoid fever in Athens dated 429 before Christ, with death around 100,000 at Greece, Libya, Egypt and Ethiopia, and there was Antonine plague death dated 165 to 180 BC with death of 6 million plus at Rome Empire, and plague of Justinian dated 541 to 542, 1 year, spread around Europe and West Asia with death of 10 million, equivalent to 50% of population of Europe of that time, and West Asia, Europe and West Asia population of that time, and epidemics of smallpox dated 735 to 737 AD, wiping out 1/3 population of Japan, and this epidemic of Mexico with death of 10 million plus people, that was around 80% population of that country, dated 1545 to 48 in 3 years, and 1 million plus death in Russia due to cholera in 1846 to 60, 12 million plus death in our neighbor India and China alone due to this Bubonic plague, and 1855 to 60, 500 million death in 100 years starting from 1877 to 1977 globally due to smallpox, around 3 million death due to Hong Kong flu between 1968 to 70, and 43.8 million deaths globally from 1981 to 2018 due to HIV AIDS, and 575,000 deaths worldwide due to H1N1 on 2019. There are much more. We can find these things in WHO archives, and there is one website called history.com. In the history.com there is archive. There we can see this pandemics that changed the history. We can find all these things there. So it's useless if we start discussing about this, describing how many people died in which epidemic due to which bacteria, which virus, then it becomes list of like 5 days. We can keep discussing, keep explaining about that, just mentioning that. We came through all these disasters, fought it, and we own it, and still we are here. No human race was lost. Yes, we lost relatives, we lost people, many people died, and but still we are here. And these are from transmissible disease, communicable disease. And next we have non-communicable disease like cancer or disease, diabetes, etc., with average death of 2 people every 3 seconds, with almost 19.98 million deaths globally each year, and not stopping here. The death due to this non-communicable disease increased by almost 7% every year globally. We have medicine, we have medical preparation and setups, specialized hospitals and vaccines for all these diseases. and yet we cannot save lives to or excuse death. We have seen death is invincible. Okay, corona, we don't have vaccines, we don't have medicine. Fine. But this disease, non-communicable disease, and even this communicable disease, we have vaccine and we have medicine, and still we are dying out of this. 19.98 million people, not a joke, dying out of non-communicable disease. And for all these diseases, we have vaccines, we have medicines, everything. We have specialized hospitals, we have cancer hospitals, we have diabetic hospitals, we have heart hospitals, and specialized doctors, specialized equipments, and vaccines, everything we have. And still we are dying. And COVID-19, in general term, we call it as corona epidemic with death rate of 5% in average, with almost 8 million and 400,000 cases registered till date, and 451,000 people died, and 4.41 million recovery. So is in fact not that scary to the epidemics haunted us earlier. All our medical and technological advancements seems to be insignificant when they are confronted with situation of real assessment. We supposed to have space buses to moon by 2020 and plan to send humans on Mars by 2023, but back on the earth we cannot even step out from our house. We cannot even step out from our homes. And truly looking around, this situation is not just because of corona only, because we have encountered much more bigger problems, much more bigger epidemics, threat of climate change, war, and other disease. We develop medicine, vaccines, etc. for all these discussed diseases and epidemics, but still people are dying out of those diseases. But we are not afraid of them now. Why? It's because we overcome the fear after hearing there is solution or medicine. And when we overcome the fear, half war is already won. Any war with virus, war with mind, war with enemy, bacteria, whatsoever more war we are facing, if we are fearless, the half battle is won. And the fact is that great valor of all untiring workers in this material world can be crushed underfoot at any moment under the pressure of fear created by different circumstances. This is the fact. Fear is very natural, powerful, and primarily human emotion. It involves a universal biochemical response as well as high individual response, individual emotional response. And fear is incredibly complex. Some fears may be a result of experience of trauma, while other may represent a fear of something else entirely, such as loss of control. Still other fears may occur because they cause physical symptoms, such as being afraid of heights, because they make us feel dizzy and sick in our stomach. And the fear often refers to this psychological or changes that occurs when experiencing terror or anxiety, as the fight or flight responses. Overall, as the name suggests, the changes prepare us either to fight or to run away. If fear is in gross body level, then breathing rate increases, heart rate flows sweats, and peripheral blood vessels constricts, and central blood vessels around vital organs dilate to flood them with oxygen and nutrients, and muscles are pumped with blood ready to react. Muscles including those at the base of each hair becomes tight and tighter, causing some goosebumps. And metabolically, level of glucose in the blood spikes, providing a ready store of energy if the need of action arise. And level of calcium and white blood cells in the bloodstream increase. The fight or flight response begin with amygdala, which it plays an important role in processing of emotions, including fear. And when we are afraid, it sets off a sophisticated and coordinated response in our brains and bodies. And this amygdala is able to trigger activity in hypothalamus, which activates the pituitary gland, which is where the nervous system meets endocrine system. And the pituitary gland secretes this adrenocorticotropic hormone into our blood. At this time, sympathetic nervous system or division of nervous system, this sympathetic nervous system means that a division of nervous system responsible for fight or flight response gives the adrenal gland a nudge and encouraging it to escort a dose of epinephrine to the bloodstream. The body also releases cortisol in response to ACTS, this adrenocorticotropic, and which brings out the rise in blood pressure, blood sugar, and white blood cells. And circulating cortisol turns fatty acid into energy ready for the muscles to use should the need of rise. And this catecholamine hormones, including epinephrine and norepinephrine, prepares muscle for violent actions. These hormones can also boost activity in the heart and lungs, reduce activity in the stomach and intestines, which explains the feeling of butterflies in the stomach, and inhibit the production of tears and saliva, explaining the dry mouth that comes with fright, and dilate the pupils and produce this tunnel vision and reduce hearing. So, and this hippocampus, which is in brain region that is dedicated to memory storage, helps control the fear response, along with the prefrontal cortex, which is part of brain involved in high level decision making, and these centers access the threat. So from this we can see a person in fear devour dedicatedly all body mechanism. All body mechanism is dedicatedly devour, countering the fear as immediate response, leaving immunity system unaided. Immunity system is on its own to fight with upcoming danger of bacterial or any type of epidemiological attack. The universal trigger for fear is the threat of harm, which can be real or imagined, and this threat sometimes can be for our physical, emotional, spiritual, psychological well-being, while almost all other times we observe negative impact. While there are certain things that trigger fear in most of us, that we learn to become afraid of nearly anything, but there are 7 types of common fear triggers. Generally, these 7 types of fear triggers are common in everyone, and they are this real environmental danger or loss of visibility of surrounding due to darkness. Like when it's dark, we cannot see anything. Then, or environmental danger. And next is response to certain specific object or situation, like spiders, snakes, heights. We go on high and we feel afraid. Flying. I've seen one video. A person was making this video in this parachute, paragliding, and he got fainted there, crying and got fainted. So this response to specific objects. And future. We are fearful for our future, especially socio-economical securities or sense of being unprotected, and some imagined events we get feared of, like if this will happen, then what's going to do. Just seeing some axe on the roof, thinking if that axe will fall and hit on my head, type of imagined fears. And phobia. A person have phobia towards running water, and there is fear. And social interaction or rejection. When a person feels the rejection of from society, or people have fear interacting in society, or socially interactive, and the unknown. Last one is called unknown, which is also called the fear of death. So among common triggers of fear, the first 6 kind, from this real environment danger up to social interaction or rejection, including imagined event, phobia, fear of future, response to certain specific objects, are these type of fears are arose in gross bodily level and can be seen, observed, tested by self-evaluation, psychological counseling or similar methods, and can be treated also. Can be treated by repeating exposure to similar situations leads to familiarity and systematic desensitization and flooding technique, coping under the guidance of trained mentor or mental health professionals. Other supportive treatments can be given, or other supportive treatments we can get, get social support, practice mindfulness, use stress management techniques, etc. But the last one, the 7th one, fear trigger, the death, is subtle fear that cannot be seen, identified, evaluated, or treated by the external means. All of us, including all animals and everything, all living entity has this fear. Inbuilt, and we alone are able to tackle the situation. As we know, more the energy is subtle, more it's powerful. And the fear of death is very subtle in level. Cannot be easily identified. We take external factors like virus, bacteria, disease, etc. are the source of fear, but in fact, the fear is fear of death. Otherwise, that a virus is like one hundredth of a bacteria in general case, and we have trillions of cells in this body. Not supposed to be fearful of that. But what makes us fearful is the fear of death. If it was only the fear of virus or any other disease, then we are supposed to have fear from all kind of disease. But no, we are afraid only of those diseases which don't have vaccines or medicines. Whereas in current scenario, more people are dying out of seasonal flu than that of COVID-19 every year, but the fear of COVID-19 is locking us inside the room. Why? Because we can see people have more suicide rate than this COVID-19, or we can see that because of seasonal flu, more people are dying than because of this corona. As we have discussed, the more fearful we are, the more our immunity system degrades. And to tackle fear of COVID or any epidemics, 4 basic points needed to be exposed. There are 4 basic points, and each and everywhere eating habits comes at first. For anything we should encounter regarding this body, then the eating habits comes first, because this body is made out of food, and it is functioning from the energy derived from the food we consume. So energy cannot be destroyed. All thoughts are energy influenced from our diet, and when our diet is outcome of milk, terror, flesh, bloodshed, torture, fear, etc., or the genetically modified foods, then we do have to bear ominous consequences. These foods mess with universal intelligence, the core DNA of seeds and animals. This DNA contains predominant essence which makes a plant or animal healthy, happy, and nutrition. And this food tempering and modification intensive farming is simply not harmonious. If our food source is not happy, tempered, or full of fear, then we too are observing this disharmony and fear. The same energy is flowing within us. And next point we should be aware is comprehensive lifestyle immunity theory in Ayurveda called as Bij Bhumi theory. There is a theory called Bij Bhumi in Ayurveda, which literally translating we can say seed and land theory, where body is analogous to land and infections are like seeds. If the body is filled with ama, the sticky product of undigested food, lowers immunity in the body when it is spread and blocks the channel that carry food to the cell and the channels that remove waste. It also blocks the micro channels that are part of immune system. Finally, it provides the breeding ground for infection and free radicals. And lacking in ojas, ojas means opposite of ama, The infection will find it to be fertile ground for spreading, like a seed sprouting in fertile land. If the land is fertile, the seed sprouts fast and healthy. And if our body is filled with armor and lacking ozone, then it's fertile for any bacteria. We can see everyone is more susceptible to respiratory problems when the seasons are changing. This is because the body functions differently in each season, and in the transition between hot and cold seasons, the fire element or this digestive fire we called Agni, Jathara Agni, can start fluctuate dramatically. If we do not adjust our eating habits and lifestyle following the standard of Vedic guidelines for the seasonal transitions, we may end up producing ammo. Once the body is fertile for disease, it is easy for cold or any type of flu to sprout, as in the seed and land theory, Bijabhumi theory. To strengthening immune of our lifestyle plays a huge role. Make a short yoga session early Brahma Muhurta. It's from 4 am to 5 am, and Ayurvedic oil massage before bath as a daily routine. A daily short oil massage is very important for opening the channels, stimulating the digestions, removing toxins from our body and pacifying the dosas. It is especially soothing to bath dosa, which is seated in skin. All of these factors make massage a vital therapy in strengthening immunity and preventing respiratory problems. Or groundwater cool bath. Groundwater cool bath means the water which came from ground, like spring water or this from hand pump, or lukewarm bath each day is very necessary to keep body temperature intact with external environment, and to open the pores and regulate our body's internal thermostat. And this is important in both Vata and Kapha season. And yoga exercise is another important aspect of Ayurvedic routine, because it helps to enhance Agni and burns away toxins. It is important to choose the right exercise for our body type and for the season. Though daily walks and yoga postures are good for balancing all dosa and especially suit Vata types, while more vigorously daily exercise is required by Kapha types to stay healthy. Exercise is especially important during Kapha season, because it helps to boost Agni and our immunity when toxins are flooding in the body. And then mantra meditation, the prescribed methodologies to make human form of life materially, mentally and spiritually success should be always in focus. This mantra meditation is prescribed to have our material, mental, spiritual health success. It helps us to be focused, elevated and sharp-sighted also. And take a blissful sleep, and if there is trouble falling asleep, a Vata disorder, or wake up frequently, especially between 2 to 4 am with energy, or Pitta disorder, and then read spiritual and motivating books like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, etc. at least for 1 to 1.5 hours daily before sleep. And reading these books helps us to uplift our consciousness in higher dimensional platform, and stops mind to be washed away by splashes of negative thoughts, resulting deep and blissful sleep. Anyway, if we can sleep also, study is always the best part of life, whether we have sleeping disorder or not. And source of ultimate truth. Third point is ignorance is the main cause of fear, and when we place ourselves in the light of knowledge, then fear of darkness disappears. And in Vedic scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto 2nd chapter 37th slok, it says bhayam dutiya bhinivesatah syad isadape tasya viparya jo smritihi. So fear arises when living entity misidentifies himself as a material body. Because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the creator, when the living entity thus turns away from the absolute, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a part and parcel of Supreme. So when a living entity turns away from the truth, then loses his constitutional position, resulting unknown fear in the core of mind. Death is invincible, but fear of death can be overruled if we fix ourselves in the relation with absolute. We can take an example of mouse and kitten and a cat. Considering the cat as a death, let's see death as a cat, and if we can establish the loving relation with death as a kitten have loving relation with cat, then the death is safest place in the whole universe. But if we turn back to truth, then our position becomes that of mouse, for whom the same safest mouth of a cat can be most fearful place in the universe. The death is a cat, for example, and there is kitten and a mouse. For a kitten, though, who has that loving relation with a cat or a death, for them death, the cat is the safest place. The mouth of that cat is the safest place. But for a mouse who don't have that relationship with truth, with supreme, the death is that the cat mouth and a mouse. It's the most dangerous place. So furthermore, it's explained in same scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter and 7th slok, where it says, Yasyam vai srunamanayam Krishne parama purushe bhaktir utpaddate pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha. Simply by giving oral receptions to this Vedic literature, the feeling of loving devotional service to devotional service to Lord is awakened. And so simply by giving oral receptions to this Vedic literature, the feeling of loving devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna sprouts up or awaken at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion and fearfulness. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam explains. And a fourth point we have to focus on is about developing a hard immunity system. In any type of epidemics, we always have two options with us. First one we are practicing is to hide ourselves till we don't develop the vaccines or antivirus for the disease, but the option is temporary. Till then, when we hide, after a few days of hiding ourselves from the fear of death by corona or any such epidemics, the fear of death from hunger, stress, depression, etc. will overrule us, creating defect in immune system. Immune may get worsened due to fearful state of mind, and we might lose the capacity of fighting simple type of mental, physical, social or psychological disorders, or we might reach to the degree to choose instant death, fearing the slow approach death. We might become suicidal. Second option is to overcome the fear, as mentioned earlier, as we discussed earlier, by which half war is won. If we become fearless, half war is won, and for other half, develop herd immunity by maintaining safety measures. Live next to nature, don't exploit nature to develop herd immunity system, overcome fear, and consuming natural food stuff helping to boost the immune system is minimum requirements. When we go for the second option, at beginning more people may get affected, but along with increase in number of infected, parallel increment in people with antibodies will also happen simultaneously. An increment in this fearless population with good immune and antibody gradually creates herd immune in the society. Medically, we have seen in 65 to 70% of COVID-19 positive population, no any symptoms are seen. And 15 to 20% some symptoms are seen, and after getting simple symptoms based on supportive treatments like PCM or remdesivir or this chloroquine, etc., they return normal. And remaining 10 to 15% population with heart issues, low immune, etc., are required to treat hospitalized, maybe in ICU and ventilators. Among these 15 to 20% statistically we have seen among this 15 to 20% statistically we have seen more than 80 to 90% are cured with death ratio between 4 to 5% in average. So if we want remedies with low negative impact socially, mentally, physically and economically, then few days of lockdown for preparation and afterward moving ahead in direction of building herd immune, tackling fear of death, maintaining safety precaution might be the best solution. In any cases, either the virus is natural mutation and transmitted through bats or is developed in the lab as a bioweapon, it is because of our greed and exploitation of nature. We are bearing the consequences. We can conclude we may reach to the end of the space in material progression, but until and unless we don't understand this basic fact of fear and its relation with our daily living and the law of nature balancing herself in every aspect, all our advancement, vaccines, antidotes, medicine or lockdowns are temporary supportive means but not real solutions. Hare Krishna.